Today, the topic of our lesson is what were the main causes for the downfall of the Mughal Empire in India. It seems imperative to have a brief look when and where and who established the Mughal Empire in India and why did Mughals came here to India. The word Mughal has its etymology in the word of Mongol, and Mongol uh, actually were Central Asians who settled there, and their region is traced into the Genghis Khan and his tribe. So the word Mongol became Mughal in India. This is one of the interesting piece of this lesson. The second point is when and who established this Mughal Empire. The Mughal Empire was established in 1526 when the Mughal Emperor Babur attacked on India in 1526, and he was invited by Daulat Khan Lodi, the governor of Lahore, who had developed his confrontation with the with the emperor of India, Ibrahim Lodi. So Babur, who had been defeated thrice in his native state Fargana, and he fled away to Kabul where he lived, and so he decided to make his last desperate attempt to conquer India. And when Ibrahim Lodi invited him to attack, then he took his army and he reached here in Lahore, where he was welcomed, and the final battle was fought finally at Panipat in 1526. Babur and his army was victorious, and then Zahiruddin Babur became the founder of the Mughal Empire in 1526. Mughal Empire started in 1526 and it lasted until 1857 when they were completely eroded from the scene of the India, and the British East India Company captured India after the War of Independence. During this span, 1526 to 1857, we divide the Mughal Empire into two kind of emperors, the Greater Mughals and the later Mughals. The Greater Mughals were the founders, Zainuddin Babur, 1526 to 1530. Then his son Humayun came into power in 1530, and he was deposed by his one of the general Sher Shah, who belonged to the Sor tribe of Afghanistan, and he came into power. So this very short span, 1500, 1545 to 1550 remained in power, and then Sher Shah Suri's rule came to an end, and then his son and Humayun came back to power with the help of the Iranians, and he regained his power. Uh, Humayun died in 1500 and 57 when his son Akbar came into power. Akbar was just 14 years old lad when he came into power, but he proved himself one of the best emperor in India, because his reign or his period is known as the secular period of India, and he stretched the Mughal Empire from east to west and north to south. So from Kabul to the border of Burma or Myanmar, and from north to south, India became one of the largest empire in the world. It was the contemporary empire of the British when Queen Victoria was ruling there, came into power. In 1600, Queen Victoria established East India Company, and Akbar died in 1605. Then his son Jahangir came into power. After Jahangir, his son Shah Jahan came into power, and when Shah Jahan was overthrown by his son Aurangzeb, and he came into power, and Aurangzeb proved the last strongest Mughal king, and his rule came to an end in 1600 1707 after his death. After the demise of Aurangzeb Alamgir, now the greater Mughal period ended. And this period, which started from 1526 and came to an end in 1707, it was the most glorious and the prosperous time of the Mughal Empire. The Mughal Empire, made development in textile industry. It developed in agriculture. It had its, very strong Mughal army and then intelligence agencies, and it established Mansabdari or Crowry system. Under that, the Jagirs or the lands were allotted to the generals who raised their army and paid them, and paid also their share of the income to the federal government and the king. So this was the period of the monarchs who expanded India and made this empire very stronger. After the demise of the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, uh, the period of the later Mughal started. Bahadur Shah I to Bahadur Shah II. This is a span of time from 1707 to 1857. During this time, Bahadur Shah, Shah Alam, Muhammad Shah, which was known as Rangila also due to his fascinated life, and then his Shah Alam Sani and onward, then Bahadur Shah Zafar. So this is the time when the Mughal Empire decline accelerated. The state divided into small congeries, internecine wars started. The British East India Company that came to India in 1608, after its foundation in 1600 as a trading corporation, they reached to India in 1608. They landed at Surat, 400 kilometers away from Kolkata, and they got the permission of trade with India from the court of King Jahangir, and onward they gradually expanded their rule, because they came to the conclusion after the demise of Aurangzeb that now the Mughal Empire and its decline had started. So in the period of King Aurangzeb, they were expelled from India for some time when he smelt that they had the design to take over India. So when they were expelled, they had very strong naval forces. So they blockaded the Indians traveling towards different parts in the sea, in the Indian Ocean. So Aurangzeb had to surrender, and he signed an agreement. Under that, he laid indemnity upon them, imposed indemnity upon them, and they came back to Kolkata, which they founded. British founded Kolkata in 1690. So onward, it continued. So the result is when the second Mughal empires, like the later Mughal emperors came into power, they actually could not handle the situation in India as their ancestors or their predecessors were doing. So now it's imperative to see and look into the history, what were the main causes of the Mughal Empire. So now we start from the point one. The death of Aurangzeb in 1707 actually became the reason for the Mughal Empire. Several scholars, historians are on the opinion, they believe that the policies of the Aurangzeb against is subject were Jats, Hindus, Rajputs, Marathas, and Shia Deccan states. He spent 27 years against Mewar, Marwar, and Maratha state, as well as Golconda, Bijapur, Ahmedabad. So these wars against the local Indian states actually became the reason for the exhaustion of the Mughal army, and he spent 26 years in the south, and then he rushed to the north, but during this time he had lost very capable generals of his army. He had lost the support of the people who were now, fed up of these wars. So the rebellions broke out. Jats rebelled against them. He suppressed them. Then Rajputs of the northern Indias rose against him. He suppressed them. Then he went to Marathas to curb them. Then Shia states were destroyed in the south, which were the counterparts to the Marathas, and they kept the balance in the Mughal emperor. So, according to Hindu and Muslims and British, Percival and then the Galen and many other writers, they believed that the policies of the Emperor Aurangzeb, particularly against the states, its war strategy failed, and it caused the weakness of the Mughal Empire. Second important point is Aurangzeb was a very staunch Wahhabi Muslim, and his hatred against the Shia community also became one of the reasons for the decline of the Mughal Empire. And but though at that time it was not very clear, not apparent, but invisibly it began to erode the foundations of the strongest Mughal Empire. And third important reason, he imposed, strict policies against the cultural traditions of the Hindu society and the Muslims. For example, he banned music, he banned samar, kawali, he banned, painting, etc. So these, and he also killed his brothers. He punished Dara Shikoh, his elder brother, on the allegation of heresies, because Dara Shikoh was inclined towards mysticism, and Aurangzeb was against this mysticism or tasawwuf, so he was punished and killed. So then this war between his other two brothers, who were also, though they were supporting him, but they were killed in the wars. So he put his father into jail, into the fort of Gwalior. And it's very interesting to know when Shah Jahan asked Aurangzeb, provide me some students. So he sent him a reply, you wanted to be the king again, because teacher gives commandments to the students, and you wanted to fulfill your wish for becoming the commander of the students. So it was the situation why he is criticized by antagonists of Aurangzeb, that he was religious, is religious bigotry, is religious, extremism, his policies against Shias and non-Muslim forces disintegrated the fabric of the Mughal Empire that was, gradually established by his predecessors, and India was secular and nobody interfered into the religions of others. Akbar forgave jizya, but he imposed jizya again. So this was the time, according to his antagonists, that his critics, that he actually launched some policies which were against the political and social fabric of India. So then the hatred and the division of the Hindu Muslims increased, and the state started to disintegrate. As far as concerns his supporters in the history, the Muslim historians are the people who believe that he was a staunch, Muslim. He prayed his namaz 5 times a day. He wrote Holy Quran, and he didn't took money from the exchequer or Baitul Mal of the state. He spent his life very, with simplicity. But these things are so important as a personal. But as far as concerns his behavior as a ruler, Aurangzeb was very strongest ruler. He never spared his enemies. Either his brothers or his father or his commanders, he did not spare them. When he needed to use the sword, he used it very brutally. And when he needed to spare someone else, he spared them. So Aurangzeb actually maintained very strong hold on the Mughal Empire. But when he died, then his empire came to, and his empire was in the, under the decline, and this is the fact that decline had almost started. The point number two, the second cause, the most important cause of the causes of the decline of Mughal Empire is the incapability of the successor of Aurangzeb Alamgir. Irfan Habib, the professor of the Aligarh Muslim University, he looks upon the decline of the Mughal Empire with a Marxist point of view. He believed that the economy during the Mughal Empire actually flourished, and the feudalistic economy actually flourished. And during this feudalism, the tenants, the peasantry became very poor, and they were, they were suppressed and oppressed by the feudals and the nobles of the Mughal Empire. So that actually became the reason that became the reason to create the gap between the nobles and the soldiers or the peasants who became totally, away from the interest of the Mughal Empire, and they decided that they must be away from the politics, or they must be away from the Mughal emperors and their armies. As far as concerns the successors of the Mughal emperor Aurangzeb, Aurangzeb had a very dubious and suspicious character. He did not appointed any crown prince of his eldest son, Bahadur Muazzam Shah, first came into power at the age of 65. When Aurangzeb died, his elder son was 65 years old. So he was not able to lead the army in the battlefield. And then his sons, his grandsons, and then onward up to the Bahadur Shah Zafar II, the Mughal emperor became, fond of luxurious life. They gave up army trainings, and then their army dispersed, and many small states became independent, and they challenged the Mughal ruler. So the situation became very worst in the time of the later Mughals. A time came when the king of India, or the emperor of India, was a symbol of unity of India, but he was on the mercy of the Marathas, and Marathas protected him in the Lal Fort. When Marathas were defeated, then British became responsible for the protection of the Mughal emperor. So his empire was confined to the Delhi and its suburbans. Shah Alam Sani, the people of Delhi used the proverb, Shahi Shah Alam as Delhi Tapalam. The meaning is the government of Shah Alam starts from Lal Fort, Delhi, where he resided, and it ends at Palam, means it ends at the village of Delhi, Palam, where is now the modern airport of Delhi has been constructed. So this was the time when the Mughal emperor had become totally, incapable, and proved themselves incapable. In case of foreign invasion, they could not defend India. In case of rebellions against the Mughal emperor, they could not. Even when they went to the wars, they had the slave girls with them, they had the concubines with them, and they were busy in, luxurious life. They did not ride the horse, rather they sit in the pyre, and they were taken by, that were picked up by the slaves. So this was the situation. So when we analyze the causes of the decline of the Mughal Empire, in my opinion, the most important is, had the successor or the later Mughals capable, then they would have been able to control all kind of rebellions, all kind of disturbances, and they established very strong intelligence and strong army. They established navy, so they could control and hold the empire that was transferred to them by their greater Mughal predecessors, but they couldn't do it. The third important cause of the Mughal Empire was the corruption of the nobility. Nobility means the nobles, the commanders of the army, the ministers of the king, and advisors who were in the Mughal court, they became totally corrupt. They charged corruptions, they were involved in levying the taxes upon the poor peasantry. They became corrupt morally, financially, and as well as ethically. They had lost the grounds, and the people of India disliked them. So the corruption of the nobility was another reason for the decline of the Mughal Empire. And then military weaknesses. When we talk about the military weakness, that means the Mughal, the greater Mughals had developed the system of a centralized Mughal army, and then they established the Crowry system or Mansabdari system. Each Mansabdar, for example, 500 Mansabdar means he was responsible to have a 500 soldiers, and then he was granted a state from where he from where he raised his income for himself and his soldiers, and rest of the surplus money he sent it to the king or emperor of India. So when the war started, so from 500 to 100,000 mansabdars were working in the system, and they were posted after 3 years from one place to another place, so that they could not establish their own influence and they could not become rebellion. But in the later Mughals, this Mansabdari system became the reason for the weakness of the Mughal Empire. Every Mansabdar raised the army, and they started to become stronger, and they challenged the Mughal emperor, and gradually they established their own small states. So we see that Mewar became independent, then South Deccan states became independent, Marathas became independent, Jat and from Delhi to Agra, they started their rebellions. Northern India, Rajput Indians, they became independent. They had their own armies. And already I have mentioned that Mughal emperor was on the, some months he was protected by the Marathas. Then 1812, the British had entered into Delhi, where they appointed Mughal and did not remove him from the power. Why did British not remove him in the power? Because they wanted to keep him, to keep the people pacified, so that they could not turn attention on their expansion of the East India Company and capturing of the Mughal areas. Another important is the economic bankruptcy. The reign of Shah Jahan marked the beginning of the deterioration of the economy of the empire. Uh, Shah Jahan is known as a emperor who was very fond of constructing the buildings and monumentals. Taj Mahal, for example, he spent uh, of the current in the current age, the money he spent on the construction of the Taj Mahal, it was almost $1 million, and 5,000 masons and the workers labor worked upon that. Just he wanted to gift it to his beloved wife Mumtaz Mahal, where she was buried. And so he constructed buildings, and during his time the economy started to deteriorate, and that was the time when, according to Aisha Jalal and Irfan Habib and some other historians like Percival, Gillen particularly points out that the bankruptcy or the financial decline of the Mughal Empire actually started in his time, because the Mughals did not pay attention on establishing and the new industries and to develop the agriculture. Rather, they could not become able to sustain the industry and the agriculture that was established by his predecessor. So when we reach to the time of Aurangzeb Alamgir, then his war strategies spent a lot of money on the useless futile wars, so that also became the reason for the bankruptcy of the or the decline of the financial richness of the Mughal Empire. So that was another reason that the Shah Jahan spent a lot of money on the construction of buildings, and later he did not pay attention on increasing the finances. When his son came into power and put him into prison, then he spent lavishly on the wars, and the result, war always brings, destruction. War always brings a decline of the finances in the country. So that is another reason. And another important reason is group rivalry at the court. The Mughal Empire divided into different ethnic groups: Afghans, Turks, and then local Indians, Rajput groups who were very became powerful in the period of Akbar, because Akbar married with the Rajput families and he expanded his state in India. So is the so Shias and Sunnis, and this was the reason that when the Mughal courtier divided into different groups, they had developed the rivalries. We find the examples of these rivalries in the period of the King Akbar, when Faizi and Mubarak Shah, who was the inventor of the Deen-e-Ilahi, were challenged by Arif Baki Billah and Sheikh Ahmed Sarindi. So since then, the seed of the sectarianism were sown, and it started to, grown up. And at the time of Aurangzeb, they had become a plant, but in the period of the later Mughals, they had turned into a very shady, a tree that had long branches of sectarianism, ethnicism, and that caused a very strong, that became a strong reason for damaging the unity amongst the Muslims. So lack of unity is an other reason amongst the reason of the decline of the Mughal Empire. Its reason is when these forces of disintegration became stronger, and they started to distract the Mughal emperor from jihad, from war against the rebellion. They failed in controlling them. The result is the groups also remained successful to convince the Mughal princes that they are the real successor. So another cause of the decline of the Mughal Empire was war of successions. War of succession means there was no established rule for the succession of the successor when one Mughal emperor died. So when emperor died, then his sons and the brother of the emperor, they started to fight against each other to become the next emperor of India or the king of India. So these war of succession were another cause of decline. So these war of succession played very vital role in disintegrating of the Mughal Empire. So the nobility who supported one prince, the other were supporting another prince. The Mughal army divided into groups and they fought against each other. When they fought against each other, the Mughal Empire further weakened, and then the nobles became stronger and they established their own states. So, and the another reason of the decline of the Mughal Empire, that was the lack of naval forces. The British paid much attention on the army and cavalry, infantry, and their land forces were very stronger, but they did not paid attention on the navies. But after the age of exploration, after the age of exploration, the Western powers captured different states in India, including India, Africa, Malaysia, Indonesia. They captured it because of their naval forces. So, our Macanders, who is a very famous, analyst of the international relations, he once said, "Who rules the sea, that rules the world." So the British came to India because they had very strong naval forces. When Aurangzeb expelled them from India, he couldn't sustain. He couldn't sustain the pressure of the British naval forces, and he had to reconcile with them, so they came back. So, had the Mughal naval forces, they would have been able to contain the invaders in the seas, and they could compete the British in the sea, and they could defeat them there, and they could save their coastlines. But due to the lack of the naval forces, they could not compete the British Empire. The rise of the British East India Company in India became another important reason. British came here as a traders in 1608. Then they established their trading stations or trading centers with the permission of the King Jahangir. So when the later Mughals came into power and civil war started, war of successions broke out, and small princely states became independent, then there started a chaos and anarchy in India. It was the time when the British East India Company decided to establish its own forces to protect their trade centers. So they got the permission from the later Mughal Shah Alam and they established it. And that actually became the reason. So first of all, they captured Bengal, where they defeated Nawab Sirajud-Dowla. Then they defeated Mir Jafar and Mir Sadiq in Mysore. Then they conquered Marathas. Then they reached to Sindh and conquered it. And the last, they defeated Punjab and the northern India, and they entered into Delhi after the War of Independence in 1857. And in this way, the British East India Company captured India gradually due to certain reasons. The reason of the rise of the British East India Company is, number one, they had good administration. Number two, they were advanced in science of weaponaries. They developed weapons, cannons. They brought modern rifles. They brought gunpowders. They remained successful to divide the people and rule them. So they became another reason for the end of the Mughal Empire. The last point is very important. India had been facing the foreign invasion since the time of the Huns and Aryans, but when the later Mughals' time came, then first of all, in 1748, Nadir Shah of Iran attacked India, and then Mughal Emperor Muhammad Shah, who was, very fond of music and dancing and drinking, and etc. He was not interested in the wars, and so that King Rangila King, or Muhammad Shah Rangila, was told by his intelligence that Nadir Shah had entered into Makran. He said, "Hanuz Dili Durast." That means that since Delhi is far away, so then Nadir Shah came to Delhi, and he massacred the people of Delhi. He looted Delhi, he burned the libraries and the city, and returned. So then Ahmad Shah Abdali was invited by Shah Waliullah to suppress and defeat the Marathas, the Hindus, the Jat, the Sikh government. But when he came here, he fought his third battle of Panipat in 1761. He defeated these Hindu Marathas and Jats and in these forces, but when rebellion broke out in Afghanistan, in his own state, he returned, but he was killed near our district Gujarat in Punjab, Pakistan, and then the rule came to the Mughals, and they again these forces became very powerful, and they recaptured their states which they had lost. So when War of Independence broke out, then King Bahadur Shah Zafar was invited to lead them, and he led them with this hope that perhaps the Indian had risen, but Indians only rose against the British in the central India. And once again, due to the you know lack of unity amongst the Indians, Punjabis and Pathans. They supported British Empire, and therefore so then they defeated the central Indian Biharis and Bengalis and Marathas, etc. And then they captured Delhi. So when Delhi was captured, then Bahadur Shah Zafar was dethroned, and his four sons were beheaded by Colonel Hudson, and he presented their heads in a tray to the king. Later, king was exiled to Rangoon in Burma. Now, Burma is known as Myanmar, and his capital is known as Yangon. He was buried there, and he died there. After his death, he was buried there. So, this was the reason when the Mughal Empire came to an end. In the last, I would suggest to the students of the O level, GCE O level, IGCSE, and CSS students that the important points to remember is number one, they must be able to identify that Mughal Emperor Babur came to India. He established in 1526. First battle of Panipat was fought when this was established. The second battle of Panipat was fought when Himu Bakkal, the prime minister of Sher Suri, challenged Akbar. So in the second battle, 1557, Akbar and his general Bairam Khan won the battle, and they established Mughal Empire second time. And Akbar proved very secular king. He did not, spread any kind of religious bigotry, and he remained successful to unite India from Kabul to Burma and from north to south. That was the time. He ruled almost 50 years in India, and he remained very, very powerful king. And the historians Percival, Galen, and then is Hindu historians, Irfan Habib, Pakistani historian S.M. Ikram, and others. They believed that Akbar was a king who united India. And then Jahangir and Shah Jahan got the empire that was very rich, and after Aurangzeb, the policy of Aurangzeb based on the religious extremism and hatred against the non-Muslims, because he believed that perhaps the strictness and the strict implementation of the religious beliefs of Islam could make him more stronger. So that became the reason for the erosion of the state, and it spread gradually. After that, the important point you must remember that decline started in the period of Aurangzeb. It further accelerated when his son came into power in the very late age, and later the war of succession, incapable Mughal rulers who could not control the decline, and then nobility and their corruption and their lust for the more wealth put them into wars, and then his lack of science and technology in India. They didn't pay on the establishment of schools, universities, and modern science and technology. They didn't, allow to flourish in India, and they did not support it. And when British came here, they became the major reason for the decline, and they brought the decline. They completed the end of the Mughal Empire in 1857. The conclusion of the debate is, had the incapable successors proven themselves well prepared for war, if they paid attention on the establishment of naval forces, if they paid attention on the intelligence against the rebellions, if they paid attention on uniting the Indians and followed the policies of the greater Mughals, then perhaps the India could not be disintegrated and Mughal rule carried on in future. But when they failed to maintain all these and could not satisfy their subjects socially, politically, and their economic policies failed, their military strategies failed, then the fragmentation and decline was inevitable. In the last, the important question is discuss the causes of the failure of the Mughal Empire. When we use the word in the question discuss, the word discuss means you need to give the viewpoint of in favor and against. So both viewpoints you write down and then you agree or disagree. Another question may be given. The examiner may suggest some reasons like out of the following, for example, administrative vastness because the empire was very vast, then incapable rulers, lack of science and technology, rise of the British Empire, and disunity. These five, for example, as examiner, I put in the question and I ask which is the most important. Then you need to explain the reason of these five, six reasons in length, and in the conclusion you can say, I reach on this conclusion. In my viewpoint, the major reason for the fall of the Mughal Empire was the incapable ruler. If they were capable, then all other problems could be overcome and removed. Another question may be given was the civil wars or the war of succession was only responsible. No, they may be one reason, but there were certain reasons that we have discussed. Now, uh, in general, we can say the the downfall of the Mughal Empire had started in the reign of Aurangzeb and completed in the period of second Bahadur Shah Zafar II on 1857 when the British took over and they eliminated also East India Company under India Act 1858 and declared India as the Mughal Empire, that the British Empire. The lesson of the history that we have just revised briefly is that nations and empires, they survive if they keep on paying attention on science and technology, on innovations, on new inventions, and they facilitate their people, and the rulers are visionary, and they follow the policies to maintain and sustain their states, and they take them further towards future. We will meet next with a new topic of our syllabus and curriculum. Please keep on subscribing my channel, Dr. Nasir Hussain. I am trying my best to facilitate my Pakistani youth about the history of Pakistan and Pakistan studies. I would like to facilitate the candidates of the civil superior services regarding Pakistan affairs by presenting them this brief sort of historical analysis so that they may go into details when they appear in the exam. Bye.